I think with Nigel Farage, I think when I look at him, I think, is he a good leader, or is he just somebody that wants, to kind of fit in, be accepted by media? And I suppose I look at him as a Tory with a different ribbon, really. So I think there's a bit of question marks around Nigel as well at the moment. But I think we need more politicians such as Rupert Lowe.
Breaking right now, Sammy Woodhouse, the independent journalist and Pakistani Muslim grooming gangs survivor who has previously worked with Urban Scoop, Tommy Robinson's organisation, Rebel News and 2CTV, and is an increasingly respected figure on the right of British politics, has called on Nigel Farage to stand down as Reform UK leader, saying that he isn't strong enough to be Prime Minister. Watch.
Nigel Farage, I think when I look at him, I think, is he a good leader? I look at him as a Tory with a different ribbon, really. We need more politicians such as Rupert Lowe. If we look at Rupert Lowe, I think Rupert's doing really well at the moment. He's saying a lot of things that other politicians don't want to talk about. I think with Nigel Farage, I think when I look at him, I think, is he a good leader, or is he just somebody that wants, to kind of fit in, be accepted by media? And I suppose I look at him as a Tory with a different ribbon, really. So I think there's a bit of question marks around Nigel as well at the moment. But I think we need more politicians such as Rupert Lowe. I think a lot of people have lost hope in the Tories. And I think if the Tories and Reform come together, I don't know if the UK had kind of want that to happen. Just because they've been in power for so long, they've just done a terrible job at it. So I think, maybe the Tories the Reform just kind of keep it to Reform. I think some politicians, such as Suella Braverman, I think Kemi, I saw her speech, I thought Kemi did good. I think maybe if they joined Reform, it might work.
But Nigel Farage isn't listening to the criticism, hitting back strongly at the government over the hard-left terror group Antifa's attempts to infiltrate Reform's conference in Cornwall. He is now calling for Antifa to be banned as a hate group. I do believe this is a terror organisation. So in his letter to Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, Farage wrote, "I am sure you will agree with me that absolutely no politician or their supporters should be subjected to threats, abuse and violence. We have seen an increase in hate towards members of parliament for their views, and I was subjected to several attacks during the general election campaign in Clacton. My Reform UK colleagues and I are used to name-calling and a few eggs being thrown, but this was Antifa, a very violent and dangerous organisation. These people see violent protests as being acceptable. Somebody has had their tooth knocked out and a few more people sustained other injuries. These are very nasty, dangerous people. No political protest in Britain should be allowed with people wearing masks. One of the protesters attending and inciting this violence was Labour councillor Zoe Fox, who was the mayor of Camborne from 2003 until 2024. Is this kind of violence acceptable in the Labour Party? I was deeply concerned at the lack of action from local police officers. I, of course, appreciate the work that the police do to keep us safe by putting themselves on the line, but feel far more could have been done to ensure the safety of conference delegates. These groups have been egged on by members of parliament like Zara Sultana and others who have posted intimidating images online to try and silence legitimate political discourse. What happened is completely unacceptable at every level. I'm astonished that Antifa has not been banned as an organisation. Therefore, I am calling on you to take the appropriate action and prescribe Antifa as a hate organisation. I hope you will take the relevant course of action and that I hear from you soon." Let me bring in Father Calvin Robinson on this. Father Calvin, the thing that I find astonishing about the story, firstly, actually, before we get to Farage's leadership, let me just say this is leadership from Farage. This is the type of thing he should be doing. And I am interested to know what you think about Sammy Woodhouse's comments. But before that, Calvin, can we just talk about Antifa? Because my issue is hypocrisy. It's not that I particularly want to shut down any organisation. But can you just imagine if right-wing protesters were masked, violently attacking people who were just going to exercise their democratic rights, they would end up being locked up in prison for years. This would be leading the mainstream media, Calvin, day after day after day. But when it is Antifa, which I believe is a terror organization, all you have to do is look into Andy No's incredible research on this, which I know you've done, Calvin Unmasked. It's just ignored. It's just completely ignored, as if this is acceptable, that this is what Reform UK members and politicians should have to put up with. So I totally endorse Nigel's letter to Yvette Cooper. What do you think?
Absolutely agree. And the problem is that Antifa are funded. They're a terrorist organization that is funded by the commies. We have people like George Soros funneling money down to these groups of people that are shipped in by the busload to every single protest. The problem is that who's going to want to fight against that? I don't think the Labour government are going to fight against their own people, their own commies. The Conservatives were too afraid because there's too much money involved. I suppose Farage is the only one speaking out against it, and good for him, but he's only speaking out because they're coming for him now. But yes, Antifa do need to be proscribed as a terrorist organization. And we need to say all these multi-billionaires on the left who are funneling money into communist organizations, they need to be looked at. People like George Soros and Alex Soros and types like that, because people get very upset at Elon Musk putting out a tweet that they don't like. But then you have these billionaires on the left actually literally channeling money into communist groups that are attacking people and anti-democratic, and no one seems to care, and we look the other way. So we have to stop looking the other way. Yeah, all these buses that come in with printed out placards of the same mottos every single time, doesn't matter what the event is, doesn't matter what the protest is, the same people are funded. We have to find out who's funding them and why, and put an end to that. But yes, prescribe them as a terrorist organization because they are terrorizing people.
But first, we've been told our whole lives that wrinkle creams were the easiest way to look younger. Now, one doctor says that's nothing but old news. According to Dr. John Lake, the world-renowned Beverly Hills beauty expert, most wrinkle fixers on the market are nothing but glorified moisturizers. He says they hardly make a dent on your appearance. Some can even be harmful to your skin. Now, recently, Dr. Lake has focused his attention away from mainstream cosmetic practices. Why? Well, so he can pursue a revolutionary anti-age breakthrough, one that some experts say could empty the wallets of the cosmetic industry. He told reporters it's almost like Photoshop for your face. You may even be mad after seeing how easy it is to visibly erase your wrinkles from views. Now, his personal clients have dubbed his new do-it-yourself technique the Age Rewinder method because it can take years or even decades off your appearance in under 2 minutes. In light of this amazing breakthrough, Dr. Lake has released a step-by-step video to the public, free and uninterrupted, where he outlines exactly how to use this simple solution from home. And he says if this helps even one person look younger or feel more confident, he will be thrilled for knowing he helped. The video has not surprisingly gone viral. It was first shared on Facebook. It's now racked up over 2.3 million views and counting. And the comments and feedback have been outstanding. Thousands of women report they look decades younger. One viewer even commented, "Best results of anything I've used. I can't believe how well this works. I'll never stop using this. I don't understand how it works, but the results are great. Thank you." So you can find out more about this yourself right now. Go to bhmd1.com/outspoken or click on the link in the description box below. That's bhmd1.com/outspoken. Now, there is one thing Dr. Lake asks from his viewers. If watching this video helps you look and feel younger than you have in years, then please share this video with your friends and loved ones. Together we have the power to help as many women reclaim a youthful look as possible. So go watch the video at bhmd1.com/outspoken right now, or just click on the link in the description box below. But now, back to the show. And Calvin, just before I get you to answer Sammy Woodhouse's criticism of Nigel Farage and seeming endorsement of Rupert Lowe, I want to put the alternative side to get you to respond to. So Nigel Farage, sure, might not be perfect in lots of ways, but is he not just by far the best option that we have? A household name, and wouldn't it be absolutely insane to get rid of a populist leader who has the support of the big guy. Watch.
The leader of the UK Reform Party, who, by the way, did really well in that last election. I've been his friend for a long time, and I wasn't sure, am I supposed to be his friend or not? But it never mattered to me if he did well or not. I always liked him, but it's easier to like him when he got the kind of votes he got. He really took it by storm, and they say he's going to do even better this time. Nigel Farage. Where is Nigel? Thank you, Nigel. Thank you. What a great guy.
Calvin, isn't that a priceless endorsement? It would be insane, wouldn't it, to say there's someone who's got more of a chance than Farage. That's not saying he's perfect. That's not saying we shouldn't challenge him on issues like mass deportations and the changing demography. But do you understand the point I'm making?
Yeah, that's a glowing endorsement. It's fantastic to see. If it helps, wonderful. But I agree with all of Sammy Woodhouse's criticisms that he is just a Tory with a different coloured tie and doesn't have any real agenda to make positive change for our country. It is all about himself and about his looks and about appearing on TV. So I don't know if him winning would help, but he could be a face to help get that party elected and then supposedly replace him with an actual competent politician. Who knows? But it's like, what is the point in winning if you're not going to make a difference, right? So if Farage staying means that they could win, great. But then what? Like, to what end is the question I always ask.
Exactly. But I think they have a little bit of time to plan that. But absolutely, if it's going to be Tories Mark II, then it doesn't work. What's interesting, Calvin, is that some of your criticism of Nigel in terms of the media and stuff is exactly what Dominic Cummings was saying too. He's just too interested in wanting to appear on the Today programme on the British Bashing Corporation. Just forget it. But speaking of revolting violence from the left, Calvin, again, I'm going to fully back Nigel Farage's new campaign. He has launched a petition calling on Mike Amesbury, the jailed Labour MP, jailed for assaulting a constituent, to resign. Because, look, of course, Reform want a by-election. But it's a joke, isn't it, Calvin? It's an absolute joke that the constituents, one of whom was punched in the face, has an MP who can't do a thing for them. Can't do a thing for them. He's literally locked up. And again, can I just make the point, Calvin, that if this had been a right-wing politician, we would never have heard the end of the story. But the MSM are just like, nothing to see here, folks.
Oh, absolutely. I'm seeing lots of memes going around with Mike Amesbury there and Pete Lynch there, and the difference between the two and how they're treated. And it's just black and white, really, isn't it? It's shocking to me that this guy is still allowed to be a sitting politician in any regard, really. Of course, he should be called to resign, and I fully support that petition. I don't think petitions work. I think they're a waste of time, and I think it makes people feel like they're doing something, but nothing ever comes of it. But I support the idea, and absolutely, he should be forced by his constituents to resign. Can they not recall him?
They can. But the problem is it takes time, doesn't it? And for 10 weeks, they don't have an MP. I mean, look, it's just shocking to me. It's shocking to me. And you're not telling me, Calvin, that Starmer could not have had a quiet word in this guy's ear and just said, look, do the right thing. Do the right thing. And he hasn't. And he's there.
Of course he hasn't.
So he is an MP. And the point is, I'm very much all about innocent before proven guilty, but this was on tape. He's now been found guilty. He's in jail. He's lucky to only get 10 weeks, given poor Peter Lynch, God rest his soul, got over 2 years for, by the way, protests that was not violent at all. So I just think it's shameful. I think it's utterly shameful.
It just highlights our rubbish judicial system, doesn't it? That this guy gets nothing, really. Gets no sentence. 10 weeks is nothing. He's still allowed to keep his job, still allowed to supposedly represent the British people. Yet someone who's not involved in a violent incident like this is given a lot longer sentence, ends up being killed at the hands, I would say, of the state. And it's just the two-tiered system that we have in our land, that if you're on the right of politics, nobody cares. Nobody cares about your justice. Nobody cares about your well-being. If you're on the left of politics, you can do whatever you like. There is no justice in our country anymore.
Indeed. Indeed. And it is really, really disgraceful. And I think it's completely right to make the point that, God, how could Peter Lynch get that type of sentence when Mike Ainsbury is only behind bars for 10 weeks? Just totally disgusting. Totally disgusting.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.